Hey, what's up, guys? Kil2 here. I got a little more EVE PVP to show you. Hope you all have been getting some yourselves, and I hope you don't mind me just kind of uploading whatever I get. I've been doing a little more fleet stuff this week and a little less solo, and so that's what I have. I hope you don't mind, but still a lot of fun and nothing real big. I think each one of these fights, I'm in a gang of 3. So I'm going to intro the first one a little bit before I start it, because in all 3 cases, actually, I sort of forgot to start fraps until after the fight was starting. So sorry about that. But basically, for the first one, I'm in the ham Caracal again. I've been flying that thing a lot. I just love it. Um, it showed you some of me flying with Coverx with one in the last video, and it's just really solid. It just seems good. It's easy to get fights with. It's cheap. There's really just nothing wrong with it. So in this situation, we have a gang that has 2 of those Caracals, 2 ham Caracals, and 1 Bellicose. And we've headed into Geminate, and we actually jumped into BWF, which had like 25 local and some things on scan, and we just kind of wanted to race through BWF. We felt like it might be a bit too hot to fight in there. So we didn't really want to stay, but when we went to the IO gate to jump out, we immediately had someone warp to the gate with us, and I'm not really one to turn down people that are acting overly eager, and so we went ahead and engaged. So what you're going to see is an arbitrator. When the footage starts, I'm already shooting at an arbitrator. So this arbitrator warped to the IO gate and immediately aggroed me. And then my 2 fleet mates, one of them's in system with me now, and the Bellicose had scouted IO. He's going to jump back into us in just a second. And one other small side note, in case you've been around a while, you may notice one of my fleet mates is Kessa, who is considering making a return to the game. This is actually his first fight his first fight in EVE in about 2.5 years, I think. So in a way, I should share comms with you because it's pretty hilarious to hear him freaking out and being totally confused about what's going on. But I won't do that. I'll just play the footage and do commentary. So I'm going to start it now. And like I said, I've got this arbitrator tackled. It looks like he's switched. I know he aggroed me initially, but it looks like now he's shooting at Kessa. So that's Kessa over there getting neuted. And my priority right now, as always in a fight like this, is just to make sure that I can still apply damage, but keep myself out of risk as much as possible. So I'm trying to get a little distance from the gate. Now kind of turning back to make sure I can hold a point, but I know more stuff's going to be coming in to help, so I don't want to be too close to the gate. So the first thing that shows up is a Rupture, and that's great. He's slower than us, so we should be able to kite him around pretty easily and not take too much damage, and then switch to him after the arbitrator goes down. The arbitrator's kind of just floundering. I don't think he really knows what to do since Kessa was able to make it outside his kind of range of influence. Arbitrator goes down, and by then a Talos has come in. Talos warped to 0 at the gate, and Talos shoots me right away. And you notice I switch ammo here to EM. I think it's worth it with 2 ships that are guaranteed to have 0 EM resist. But something cool happens here, and this is something interesting about missiles. The Talos burns after me, I think. He's burning. Maybe he's not burning towards me. Anyway, he's shooting me. I'm just happy to burn totally out of his range and let my friends kill him. And that can be a little sketchy with the Talos because his range is really long, but his damage drops off. He ended up having Void loaded, which is not good for him, especially against cruisers, because there's just very little chance he's going to be close enough. But I just burn away from all his damage, and basically the other 2 kill him, and then I head back in. And what I was going to say about missiles is it's great to get chased, because the missiles get much longer range when you're getting chased than it looks like they have. But anyway, we're able to kill the Talos. By now, Kessa's scram web down there with the rest of those cruisers. He didn't get quite enough range, so you can see him kind of near the gate getting blobbed. At the same time, the Bellicose is out with me, and we've pulled lots of range from this gang. And we were able to kill the Talos. And so then we kind of head back in, hoping to get this Rupture off Kessa and maybe grab another kill. But we have to be really careful because now there's quite a bit of stuff on grid, including an Oracle, which is really threatening. But we were able to start shooting this Rupture. Kessa's just... Oh, yeah, Kessa died by this point. And so that means the gang's attention is turned to us. It's one thing you have to be real careful about. One of the reasons it's most important to pay attention to your fleet mate's HP, and I should have had watch list up here, is because it can give you a real indication of when you can expect target switches. So we started shooting that first Rupture Krusty, and then he turned around and headed back, I believe, and now we're switching to Wiglaf because Wiglaf is burning out for us. And right here we're really comfortable. I mean, the Oracle is really bad news because it projects damage so well, but everything else on this grid is relatively slow compared to the Caracals, and so we should be able to do some good kiting. The only problem now is our DPS is kind of low, so we need time, and that it's just such an unstable situation that we might not have it. But we work on this Rupture for a little while here. me and the Bellicose, and you know, as usual, just trying to maintain good enough range, you know, try and stay in that sweet spot where I can hold point, which I totally screwed up. Looks like I flew back across and got real close to the rupture, which is bad because I take a lot of extra damage. But then I turned because I'm thinking about aligning as I get low, and I warp off. Oh, I still had a point on me until right there, and then I warp off. And I don't know if you remember, but the rupture was like low armor, and he ended up getting finished off by the Bellicose, and the Bellicose was able to escape. And yeah, so that was pretty sweet. We traded a Caracal for a Talos, a Rupture, and an Arbitrator, fighting well outnumbered, and I think that's a pretty good testament to the Caracals, and even the Bellicose, which is kind of laughable, but there you go. So I'm going to warp around for a second here, but I'm just going to start talking about the next fight. So the next fight is really unusual for me, and I wanted to post it partly because it's so unusual, even though the quality of the footage isn't quite as good as I would usually expect. But the reason I'm posting is because I'm in a Loki, and this is one of those things I don't get to post very often, but people often are extremely generous, donating me ships, all kinds of ships, and in this case, a really cool guy who lives in wormholes. He's someone from Aharm, I think, donated me a Loki a while back and was really excited for me to fly it, and I've just been struggling to figure out what kind of fit I could use. I'll post the fit for you guys now. What I ended up settling on for this was really just kind of spur of the moment. I was like, I don't know, wanted to fly it for some reason, and this is what I settled on. I'm not sure it's the best thing to be doing, but it looked fun, and yeah, so our gang is me and the Loki, someone else in an Oracle, and then someone in a Rupture. And when the footage starts here, we are about to aggress after getting chased through a gate by what you're going to see on the gate, which is 3 Taloses and a Stiletto, which is really sketchy for us to engage. I don't know why I felt so aggressive in the Loki, because it's really expensive, and yeah, I'm not sure what made me think it was a good idea to do this, but I'll start the footage now. And you can see here, it's just as I'm uncloaking. My plan here is to burn off the gate, draw aggro, let the Oracle decloak after I've got them on me, and then hope my XLASB can tank long enough for me to peel away from the rest of the gang while the Oracle kills Taloses. It's not a terrible plan, except that what happens is a lot more stuff comes in. This is actually on the exact same gate we were just fighting, but on the other side, 2 days later. And the first Talos we shot at left. I don't know if he warped or jumped, but he left. So now the Oracle is shooting Big Neo in the Talos there, but I've started to mismanage my ship. I'm trying to figure out what's going on grid and manage my tank, and I don't really realize that most of the stuff is peeled off of me. Like, it's not shooting at me anymore. There's just one Talos shooting me basically. I'm sort of realizing that, so I turned around to help try and deal with support and maybe DPS primaries. We do kill a Talos. But by now, we're spread all over the grid. You can see the Rupture down in the corner there. He's pretty far away from me. I'm warping because I'm out of charges in my ASB, and the Oracle is hard tackled by some of those little frigs. So we ended up trading Oracle Rupture for Talos Stiletto, which is fine. It's about break even, but I did not necessarily feel excited about execution for us. I was totally confused the whole fight, and I don't know, maybe it'll be comforting for you guys to hear that happens, like, you know, even when you know a decent amount about what's going on in general, like the people in my fleets do, it's still sometimes the situations are very hard to manage, and especially when you start adding a lot of ships to manage on your ship, or a lot of mods to manage on your ship instead of flying simple, straightforward ships that just have passive tanks. Anyway, all that said, the Loki was pretty fun. I ended up losing it today, actually, by doing something really similar, engaging in a spot that was pretty questionable, and the blob was a little bigger and had faster ships, and so I ended up going down. But thanks for the donation. Thanks to all of you who donate. It's pretty awesome, and it was cool to get to use one of the kind of fancy ships I got donated for once, and maybe even put some footage up that's worth looking at. So, all right, so the next fight I had today was super fun. I decided I wanted to fly a Tornado. I'm kind of, even though the Caracals are really cool, I kind of miss flying ships with 1,000 DPS, and so I decided to get back into Tornado. I'm in, this is just a duo actually with Hayri. He's in a XL ASB Scram Web Rupture, I believe. Really bizarre, but pretty cool actually. Good against support, which is what I need in the Tornado, and XL ASB is fun for him to manage, I'm sure. So this footage picks up again kind of quick. What's happened here is I was sitting. He had scouted this system. This is 9F. We're in Providence, so he'd scouted 9F, and there was nothing on the gate, but there was a bunch of stuff in local. Right as I warped to the gate from the other system behind us, a Harbinger warped to the gate also. And something I did here that people might not usually do is I just went ahead and jumped. And the hope is that the Harbinger will see the rupture on the other side and attack it, and that it will follow me because I assume it wants to fight. It's not going to warp to that gate late after it's seen us sitting there, unless it's interested in engagement. So I don't need to I don't need to do something weird like shoot it at 0 on the gate and put myself at risk. So I just jump through. The Harb follows like I expect. He decloaks and aggroes right away, basically. So the footage picks up. I'll start it right now. As I'm shooting the Harb, I started perhaps a little late, but it's an armor take Harb, I believe. Well, maybe not. Anyway, he went down really fast. Not much take to speak of. I could go look, but it doesn't really matter. He does do a lot of damage to me. I have very little EM resist, and I'm right in his optimal Scorch, so that kind of hurts, but I outdamage him easily, especially with the Rupture's help. And then the fight gets real interesting because kind of the perfect nightmare for my NATO happens, which is a whole bunch of support starts coming in. So the first thing is this Hawk, and my initial reaction to the Hawk is like, I need to leave the grid, because if he hard tackles me, I'm just dead. But that's the job of the Rupture. The Rupture is very good at dealing with a small support. The only problem here is that this Hawk is actually faster than the Rupture by a little bit, so it takes a bit for Harry to catch up. But what's sweet is for some reason the Hawk doesn't scram or web me, and I'm actually able to put a lot of damage on him as I burn. Then this Algos comes in, and I discover that the Tornado, oh, I get damped. No wonder. I was like, geez, my lock range is so bad. Anyway, so now there's a whole bunch of support, and this is really bad. In a way, at this point, I think it's a good time for the Tornado to just leave, because so much of these small ships are going to be faster than me, and at some point I'm just going to get scrammed, and then there's nothing I can do. But as I start burning, you know, with heat on, the assault frigs are slower than me, and what happens here is I don't give enough credit to this Comet. The Comet's really threatening because he's much faster than me. So is the Slasher, but I'm so happy to be able to burn away from these assault frigs, and it looks like a lot of the other frigs are focused on the Rupture, on Harry's Rupture, so I stay on grid a bit too long. Not surprising, I'm generally not careful enough, but I am able to kill another assault frig, and then I get tackled. And then for some reason here I put a lot of damage on this Comet. You can see I got a volley in there, I got another volley in there, and for a minute I thought I was going to kill him. But he was able to work out an orbit after I got scrammed by the Slasher, and then my damage stopped, which is a little disappointing. It's also a little disappointing that Harry isn't close to me. I think he ended up getting tackled by one of the assault frigs down on the gate, so he's probably, you know, 100k away where the rest of the stuff on grid is, which is too bad. So I sit out here and kind of flail around for a bit, trying to find something to put damage on, while Harry's down brawling on the gate with some other frigs, and he's trying to make his way out to me to help with the Comet, but he's not able to get there in time, and that's fine. But I do think kind of a lesson from all these fights. In the first one, you know, Kessa got stranded sort of separate from me and Silza and died. In the second one, we all went different directions, and that led to a bunch of deaths. And in this one, me and Harry got split up by quite a bit, and that led to me dying. Harry actually is able to get a kill or two. I'm almost able to kill this Stabber, but he also establishes an orbit, and eventually I get tracking disrupted also, which is bad. But yeah, kind of a good lesson I think from this video for me is that it's really important, even in these really small compositions, and even though people do have to self-manage, you can see Harry coming in here. And he was actually able to get off grid and then later grab a kill at the Star against the Comet, so the Comet did end up dying. But to finish my thought, even in small fleets where people should be managing themselves and sort of making sure they're doing the best thing, almost as if they're soloing, you know, me burning away from the gate, for instance, is smart, even though I would like to stay close to Harry. But I do think staying together is so valuable. Like, having a Rupture to deal with support ships is great, kind of on paper, but it only actually works if we're able to stay pretty close to each other. So if I'm going to start burning earlier in the fight, I need to make sure Harry can burn with me. And if he can't, I need to warp earlier. And that's something I'm going to be thinking about a lot more if I keep flying in these small groups of 2 and 3. It's just that when you get split up, you get abused a lot easier, and so I'm gonna try and pay attention to that. But anyway, I hope those were fun to watch, and I feel like I've been talking really fast for 10 minutes, but hope you guys are having fun playing. I will be out of town the next few days, but hopefully some more videos to come after that, and yeah, I'll see you then.